Voyager space program. The program's name is derived from Artemis, the Greek goddess of the moon and twin sister to Apollo, whose namesake program first brought astronauts to our natural satellite on July 20, 1969. At the center of the Artemis program are NASA's new mega rocket, the Space Launch System, SLS, and the Orion spacecraft. The SLS is a 322-foot tall, 98 meters, rocket consisting of a core stage, upper stage and twin 5-segment solid rocket boosters to launch a payload into space. For crewed Artemis missions, the rocket will launch the Orion spacecraft to the Moon. Orion is a space capsule larger than the Apollo command modules that are designed to carry 4 astronauts on missions to the Moon. 2022. Artemis 1. NASA successfully launched Artemis 1 at 1:47 a.m. Est. 0647 GMT on November 16, from Launch Complex 39B at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The first mission is uncrewed to test the safety of the SLS rocket, and the Orion capsule's ability to reach the Moon, perform in lunar orbit and return to Earth for an ocean splashdown. The SLS rocket will carry 13 small satellites into space to perform experiments and technology demonstrations. For 6 days the craft will orbit the Moon, collecting performance data. 2024. Artemis 2 carrying the first 4 Artemis astronauts. The Orion capsule will take the crew farther from Earth than humans have ever traveled before. Over the approximately 10-day mission, the crew will complete a lunar flyby and return to Earth, evaluating the spacecraft's systems while carrying humans. 2025. Artemis 3. This will see the next man and first woman step onto the lunar surface. Providing previous missions have been successful, the astronauts will shoot towards the Moon, using the lunar lander to lower 2 people to the Moon's south polar region. They will remain on the Moon for around a week. What the Artemis project includes under Artemis umbrella are several components. First is the Lunar Orbital Platform Gateway, a station around the Moon that would extend humanity's presence in space and provide a platform for scientific experiments and jaunts to the lunar surface. The gateway would be carried into lunar orbit by the agency's SLS rocket, a gigantic new rocket NASA is developing. 4-person crews would access the station using the Orion Deep Space Capsule and remain for 30 to 90-day stints. 9 smaller businesses have also been contracted to deliver robotic spacecraft to our natural satellite in order to collect data and conduct research there. Some have taken an interest in mining lunar resources such as water, which can be split into its constituent hydrogen and oxygen and converted into rocket fuel. While astronauts have undergone multiple spacewalks since the Apollo missions, these have not required them to walk on the surface of a celestial body. The next astronaut to walk on the Moon will do so in a brand new, updated spacesuit. NASA has unveiled Artemis generation spacesuits designed especially for the mission. One for the launch and landing, worn inside the spacecraft, and one to protect the bodies of those venturing outside the protection of the Orion capsule. The suits will be custom fit to their bodies, with the aim of improving upon the comfort and practicality of previous versions. Rocket is responsible for the all-important task of firing the capsule and crew into space. The Space Launch System is NASA's new rocket designed for human space travel beyond Earth orbit. Having to travel almost 1,000 times farther than those headed for the ISS, it's designed to reach speeds of 25,000 miles, 40,000 kilometers per hour. Approximately 8 minutes after launch, the core stage falls away and the astronauts continue with their journey to the Moon. How much will Artemis cost? How many of these impressive plans will actually see fruition is difficult to tell at this point. Cost estimates are still being refined and the overall price tag of Artemis remains unknown. The Apollo program's budget ended up being a total of $23.6 billion in 1973 dollars, according to NASA, the equivalent of more than $136 billion today. That means each Apollo moon landing cost around $22.6 billion. For Artemis, NASA's spending is projected to reach $93 billion by 2025, with each SLS Orion launch costing $4.1 billion.
Under the ML. And here we go. 10.
Hydrogen
Go
burn-off
for core
igniters
stage engine
initiated.
start.
7, 6, 5. Core stage engine start. 3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.